I had an awesome childhood. Like most kids growing up in the 90s, my TV schedule consists of mostly SpongeBob, Power Rangers, and Transformers. For the most part, I wasn't really into kiddie shows like Barney or Mr. Rogers or anything like that. But the other day, I was talking with my mom when I was about a little kid. At one point during the conversation, she brought up a topic of an old TV show I sometimes watched. It was called Stubb's Clubhouse. I was unaware of the show she was referring to at first, but then the memories came flying back. I remembered it so clearly, almost instantly. Basically, Stubb's Clubhouse was a cheesy, low budget show starring a clown named Stubb. He had a rainbow colored jacket, hat, and if my memory serves, he wore a black pants with stars on them. The show was kind of a rip-off of Pee Wee's Playhouse, even though as a young kid I could tell from that. Basically, Stubb lived in a big clubhouse, which was strangely enough, it looked just like a normal house. I assume it was due to their low budget. Stubb had a group of kids who lived at the clubhouse. I don't remember much, but I vaguely remember a poodle and a man in a really bad elephant costume. Like I said, I don't really remember much about the show, and I didn't watch it much, mainly for two reasons. One, it aired at a very strange and late time, around 10:30, which is a bizarre for a kids show. And it only aired on a really obscure channel called Channel Bebo, which only aired shows for about 3 years. Then the channel was shut down for unknown reasons. The only thing I remember about the show's theme song was it was sung by a woman who sounded like she was half asleep while singing it, and the background music was playing entirely on a saxophone. In around November of 2006, I had just turned 14. This was just a few days after the conversation with my mom. I decided to treat myself to a trip to a half-price books. See, I like half-price books because more than Barnes and Nobles, you find older books and movies. It was supposed to be up-to-date stuff at B&N, so I was browsing through the videotapes, searching for a videotape for one of my favorite shows, Street Sharks, about a show of anthropomorphic sharks that fought crime. I was going through the tapes in alphabetical order, and I just happened to reach the S section. Something caught my eye. It was a tape labeled Stubb's Clubhouse. The case had no logo or picture that indicated on it was Stubb. It was just a plain bland case with a piece of paper on the side with Stubb's Clubhouse written on it in black Sharpie. I was still kind of curious about the show and I barely remembered it. Plus, I couldn't find the Street Sharks, so I decided to buy Stubb. It was pretty cheap, even for a half-price book tape, only being 75 cents. But hey, it was a bargain. I took it out to the checkout counter. The woman working there looked at the tape and then stared at me and timidly asked, "Are you sure you still want to buy this tape?" I politely said yes, and she rung it up, and when I went home to my VCR, I hooked it up to the TV in the living room when my 6-year-old Emily was playing with her Barbies. She asked me what I was doing, and I told her that I have gotten the tape at a half-price bookstore that we could watch together. I put the tape in, and the standard copyright infringement warning message came up as usual. The tape then started with the theme song of the first episode, complete with the saxophone music and sleepy singer. The episode started off with the clubhouse where Stubb introduced himself and told the viewers that they were going on a field trip. There was a bad rough cut to the playground in the middle of the grassy park, where the group of small children were about as old as my sister, playing on the merry-go-round. Stubb walked up to them, and they all ran to give hugs to him. After that, Stubb looked at the camera and asked the kids at home if they would like to play too. As assumed, Emily piped up, "Yes!" and Stubb said, "Righty-o! Then come on down to the clubhouse and play with me." Emily had asked me if we could go to the playground with Stubb, but I told her that this was filmed. However, I saw something interesting out of the corner of my eye. We have a playground in our neighborhood about a block from our house, but close enough to where we could see it from our living room window. It took me a second to make the connection, but then it hit me that the playground in the video was the same playground in our neighborhood. It then hit me even more. The same children in the show were playing on the playground right now. They were wearing the same clothes as they were in the video, and they were performing the exact same actions, almost as if the video was being filmed live. I then noticed something that disturbed me greatly. In the video, one of the children holding Stubb's hand, and when I was looked out the window, that same child was making a motion like he was holding someone's hand. But there was no one there. I was shocked. I immediately ejected the tape, much to Emily's sadness. As she was beginning to grow fond of the show, I took the tape and threw it in the garbage. I thought I was done with Stubb, but I was wrong. The next day, when my mom picked up Emily up from kindergarten, Emily told me that Stubb had been following in her car driving in a black van, and she said that she looked out the black back window and saw Stubb behind the wheel of the van. She told me that she had told Mom, but Mom didn't see any cars or vans whatsoever in the rearview mirror. Emily told me she was confused and somewhat worried, and I told her not to worry and try to relax and let an adult handle the situation. Later that night, I went against my better judgment and decided to fish the tape out from the trash can and watch the episode 2. The theme song started, but something was wrong. The saxophone was very distorted, and the woman's voice was a lot deeper and a bit messed up as well. The title came up again, and the colors were more dull, being composed of shades of brown and gray. However, than the usual bright red and yellow. I decided to brush it off as all messed up tape and continued watching. It roughly cut to a still image of Stubb staring at the camera. After a while, I realized that it wasn't a still image. It was a video of Stubb sitting motionless, staring directly at the viewer. Stubb would pretty much periodically turn his head as if cracking his stiff neck. He would never blink. He did this entire episode, which lasted about 20 minutes. Right there before the episode ended, Stubb closed his eyes tightly while he was staring, and then opened them to reveal pitch black eyes, nothing but inky blackness of the sockets. Suddenly, the tape then cut to a picture of the clubhouse. My house. I frantically ejected the tape once more and stuck it in a drawer. I looked out the window where the cameraman would have been, but neither was anyone. Not a trace of anyone there. I tried to go to sleep that night, but I couldn't. I ended up sneaking downstairs in the middle of the night, sitting in the kitchen all night with the light on and a huge supply of caffeine drinks. The morning soon came and I was safe for a while. Unexpectedly, the rest of the day went off with no strange occurrences. Emily didn't see Stubb following them to his van, which was an enormous relief and a bit of hope that this might be over. But that night, I woke up that would be described as conscious sleepwalking, meaning I got up in the middle of the night and did something while being fully conscious and aware, but still drawn out to do by something urge. I subconsciously took the tape from the drawer and placed it back on the VCR. I sat down on the couch and suddenly woke up from my sleep. I noticed I was on the couch about to watch the tape. I wanted to take the tape out and go back upstairs, but a strange force or urge forced me to, and I needed to watch the episode. Episode 3 of the opening starting, but this time it was totally different. The saxophone had been replaced by a loud banging and a voice now became more demonic sounding like, saying the lyrics in a language I couldn't understand. The title came up and the title card looked like it had been slashed by the claws of a large animal. When the episode turned on, Stubb was sitting at the table with some children. He asked the children if he wanted to play a game, and they eagerly said yes. Stubb reached under the table and revealed a large carving knife. He asked one of the children to place their arm on the table. A small girl did, and Stubb asked, "Tell me how it feels." Then he slowly sliced a thin layer of flesh on the girl's arm. She was like a peeling potato. Blood immediately began to flow, and the room was filled with sounds of the little girl's screams. The other children didn't run. They just watched calmly as if they actually wanted to see the rest. He asked the girl, "Does it feel happy?" Stubb then continued to slice another layer of flesh on the girl's arm until it hit the bone. The girl was wailing like a banshee at this point. I was in absolute shock. I felt like I would violently throw up at any moment. The girl's arm was drenched in blood, which spilled onto the table, created a puddle on the tabletop. Stubb started laughing like a happy clown as the video ended. However, it cut to another video. It was a video of Emily's room right now. She was asleep. Standing over her bed, looking down at her was Stubb. Suddenly he looked at the camera with inky black eyes in its sockets.